You've created a beautiful life, so why do you still feel stretched, snappy, and frustrated by it? You're the default parent, holding everything together, smiling, coping, but secretly fantasizing about a hospital stay to have a justified rest. And what happens when you refuse to put your life and career ambition on hold, even when your husband wants you to? If nothing changes, you don't just stay exhausted, you lose yourself to the chaos of motherhood. You're listening to Confessions of a Working Mum, where we get honest about what it really means to have it all and what it takes to stop losing yourself inside it. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Confessions of a Working Mum, the space where we get honest about the beautiful, messy reality of modern motherhood, ambition, and everything in between. I'm your host, Michelle Akester-Marsh. I'm founder of Unshakable Mama. I'm a life coach and healer, a wife and mum, family-focused feminist, supporting working mums to reconnect with more calm, confidence, and self-trust so they lead themselves and their families with more presence, ease, and joy. Today, I thought it fitting to share my story first, to lead by example, because the truth is that not every mum is actually ready to share her story, and that's okay. But I believe with all my heart that sharing our stories of the challenges of working mum life and of our dreams will create a powerful movement to push back against society's unrealistic expectations on us. My mission is to crack open and normalize our hidden struggles and inner thoughts so we can strip back and release what isn't ours to carry as working mums, so we can create space to receive more of whatever we desire, to shift the balance of responsibility and create real teamwork in our homes, to bring more love, calm, and kindness to the world, and far less stress and fear for our children and for future generations. I believe that sharing our stories will create systemic change. This is a new wave of feminism done right, where women stop carrying it all alone, homes thrive on partnership, and our kids grow up free from the old cycles of stress and overwhelm and overload. This isn't just for mums, this is for the whole family, but it gets to start with us the moment we choose it. Our voices matter so much. Our honesty and vulnerability have the power to shift the story for countless other working mums and their families, one mum, one boundary, and one belief shift at a time. Every single conversation in this series is raw, real, and unedited for the deepest authenticity. And I send you a heartfelt thank you and welcome for listening. Now, I'm actually really surprised that this podcast series has been launched into the world. There was a time I doubted it would because I burned myself out, and then self-doubt hit and I couldn't shake myself free, which is really unusual for me because I have all the tools to stop me from spiraling. Whilst I was recording episodes with the other incredible women who've given up their time and energy to share their stories with us, I was also at the starting point. I was at the start of spending 5 months working full steam ahead after deciding it was a good idea to rebrand, design a new website, PR up my business, totally streamline my offers, and reimagine my signature offering, Unshakable Mama's 4-month portal. I've needed to give myself a whole lot of grace and compassion this past few weeks and lean into the self-doubt and the feelings of, I can't do this, I should give up, I'm failing. And the fact that this podcast is actually about 2.5 months late being launched. Most days during the self-doubt period, all I wanted to do was to curl up on the sofa and binge watch Emily in Paris. But I didn't give up. Thankfully, I had pushed myself too hard and my nervous system freaked out. That, coupled with perimenopausal hormones, just isn't a good combination. So slowly, I've rebuilt my momentum again. Sometimes the most productive thing we can do for our life and business is to pause, just take a step back, recharge, and come back to a place of trust. And here we are today. So what confessions would I like to share? I have so many that we'd be here for weeks, to be honest. A few examples are that I've longed to be admitted to hospital with nothing serious, but because it was the only time I believed that I could enjoy a justified rest and be uninterrupted, just so I could catch up on sleep. I was just so depleted. I was so stressed, overloaded, and exhausted at times, particularly during our house renovations in our last house, from life and work with a young baby, that I'd just snap at my eldest and I'd smack him when he was also really tired and emotional at bedtime during teeth cleaning, usually. I've pretended to be asleep to avoid intimacy at the end of the day because I just felt so exhausted. I felt so touched out and like I literally had nothing left to give come the end of the day. I just needed to sleep. I've shut myself in another room in the hope that I wouldn't be disturbed because I was so fed up with everyone wanting a piece of me. That's how I felt, like everyone wanted a piece of me, including the cats. And I just needed to be on my own. I've felt like I deserved cake and coffee every single day as a treat. But then this made me feel really unhealthy. And then I put on weight. And then I grew a lack of self-confidence in myself. I would have a heart attack nearly every single school morning, getting the boys ready and then rushing against the traffic to the office, or getting them to school, I should say, getting out of the house, getting them to school and to nursery, and then rushing against the traffic to get to the office when I was in an office job. And, some days I wondered what the heck it was all for, because life just did not feel fun. Life felt so serious, and I just wished I could slow down time. So those are just a few, and I'd love to know if any of those resonate with you. But one of my biggest struggles has been the stop-start of being the default parent whilst trying to build my business. And that came loaded with guilt, frustration, resentment. When my eldest, it's the backstory now, when my eldest was 7 months old, I decided I wanted to rent a room at the local osteopathic clinic so I could practice my massage business. But my husband suggested that maybe I should wait until he's at school. And he said that I was putting our family at risk due to the commitment of rent before I had an income, which I do get, I do understand, but I was seething, absolutely seething. Like, why the F should I put my life totally on hold just because I was now a mum? Especially as my life had already been challenging due to 7 months of a miserable pregnancy. I had hyperemesis gravidarum during pregnancy. I'd wrecked my body. I have never been able to get into any of my pre-pregnancy clothes because my rib cage expanded so much for good. I was used to earning my own money, and my maternity pay was about to end. I was an independent woman before I became a mum with dreams, and waiting 4 or 5 years was just far too long. And I'd already been feeling depressed due to the reality of losing my independence and freedom to do as I pleased when I became a mum. So feeling like I had to wait sent me into deeper postnatal depression, which the health visitor picked up on. Anyway, I booked myself onto a yoga retreat day, which helped me feel like a real person again. I finalised the paperwork at the clinic. I sorted a rental agreement out that meant that I could pay 50% rent until I had consistent bookings. So we didn't lose out if I didn't have clients. So basically I was paying the clinic 50% of everything I earned. And I get 50%. Which was a really great way to start. I had a new website built. I worked flexibly around my son so I could get everything set up. So in nap times, in the evenings when he was in bed, my friends and I used to do a childcare swap, which was really helpful because we were both trying to set up our own businesses. And do you know what? It wasn't long before I was fully booked and had enough clients to pay the flat rate. But the biggest lesson here was to trust myself and let nobody hold me back. Not even my husband. but it took real commitment. And I had to keep showing up even when I had no clients booked. I do leaflet drops and posts in local Facebook groups and on Net Mums, etc. From the clinic when I didn't have anyone in. And everything was fab until school started. And then the next challenge hit, the school holidays. Oh my God, the start of the school holidays. Just as I was building traction, it was time to pause again. And the guilt I felt of wanting to work instead of being with my boys was enormous. When I chose to be present, it was so hard because I kept thinking about work and feeling frustrated that there were things I wanted to be doing to grow my holistic life coaching business. And then there was the guilt and worry that if I wasn't working, I wasn't earning, and we had bills to pay. And this cycle just kept continuing until, I've kind of, over the years, I've grown to be flexible and be at peace with this. So how has this shaped or impacted my life? So yeah, over the years, I've learned to be specific about when I ask for help so I can get my head down. I've learned to tell my husband, not actually always ask, in all honesty, but to tell him that I'll be working this evening because so he's on duty with bedtime and everything, so I can work because I've been with the boys all day. Or I've actually asked him to take time off work on certain days, mostly so he can also enjoy fun times alone with the boys. And because I've always felt that he misses out on this. When he's at work, he's missing out on the fun. So, I've had so many incredible adventures with the boys, but that's come at a cost to my business and my career. And by asking him to go and have some fun with our boys, take time off, go have fun so I can focus and grow my business. This was my way as well of shifting the balance of childcare responsibility so it doesn't all, in our home, so it doesn't all fall to me. I've learned to prioritize better over the years, and as a result, I've been able to focus on the most important needle moving tasks in my business. I've been able to park certain things during the holidays. For example, take a social media break and focus on just one project in my business and be with the boys. Or just focus on social media presence and the boys and leave the rest. I've learned to trust in divine timing. Things will get done. And if they get done later than planned, then that's just how it is. I've learned to keep trusting and believing in myself. Even when progress looks slow, wealth doesn't rush. And when I talk about wealth, I mean abundance. I mean love, happiness, joy, health, and money. And I now feel like I have this beautiful harmony. It's not always easy. It isn't always easy. There is still that level of, oh, but I want to be working and I'm with the boys, or I'm with the boys and, or vice versa. But I do feel like I've got this much more flow now in my business, in my life. I feel like there is a harmony, not necessarily a balance. I don't believe in balance, because that implies that everything always has to be equal. But sometimes we need to focus on, on work more than family. Sometimes we focus on family more than work. There is a flow. There has to be a harmony. So how would I briefly describe my life right now? Well, as my sister said the other day, you're living the dream. I am living the dream. I am, because we 2.5 years ago manifested our dream life living in Scotland, owning land, and we just wanted to move to Scotland for a quieter life, a slower pace, to move away from the rat race. We both work from home now. We're planting woodlands. We love being so close to nature. We love the big skies, the big scenery of Scotland and the adventures. We just really wanted to shake up life. And it has been amazing. But the thing is, it still comes with challenges. And there comes a point where the dream becomes the new norm. And yeah, we have had plenty of challenges. I mean, financial challenges, because of the house renovations, because of a new roof that's needs our roof needs replacing. There have been DIY injuries, but I honestly have never felt more content, never felt more at peace in who I am and where I live. I feel like I've been planted. And that's because we have been so intentional with our choices over the past few years. Everything was geared up to achieving this dream or to the next dream or to the next thing. We had no idea how any of it was going to happen. I tell you, it hasn't happened in the way I thought it was going to happen. I thought we were going to somehow pay off our mortgage on our home in Dorset and move and buy a second property. But no, one day my inner guidance in meditation just told me, no, put the house on the market. And it sold within 3 days. 2 months later, the mortgage was sorted and we had the keys to our new home. And we literally just up and left. And yes, life is really amazing. And we do have a really beautiful harmony. As I said, we both work from home. And I get to be with the boys during the holidays. We get lots of adventures. I get to work from home. My son now is watching TV while I'm recording this episode because it's school holidays. And it's just a really beautiful life. But yeah, it's not all easy. It's not all easy. And we have to prioritize the things that truly matter to us every single day. So what do I often dream of or long for? So these are the questions that I'm asking every mum as well. So yeah, I dream of our woodlands being planted. Like we wanted, that the dream was to own woodland. That was one of the compromises we had to make when we moved, was that the ideal house, the ideal amount of land, the location and everything, it didn't have any trees or enough trees. So we're planting it. And that is really hard work and also costing us a lot of money. So we're having to, prioritize our finances. So I would love for the woodland to be planted and to see our trees fully grown. And that is one of my biggest fears, actually, is that I'll die before it's fully grown. I really want our house renovations to be finished, so our house actually feels like our own. It's perfectly livable. It's fantastic. We're so lucky. Yet at the same time, we want to make it our own. We're trying to make it more sustainable, like insulating it, trying to use less oil and make it more green. So there's that. But again, it comes down to money. I long for a consistent income from my coaching business, because it's actually been really, really hard to build my coaching business. Because there is this belief that amongst mums that this is just the way it has to be. Like we have to hustle, we have to struggle, mums just feel overwhelmed. But there honestly is another way. And I am a living example of that. Like yes, I feel overwhelmed at times, but I know how to rein it in, and I know how to reprioritize and focus on the things that matter and leave the rest. It's a constant review and assessment of what is this the most important thing to me today? What is the most important thing to me today? What is the next important project to do? Like, DIY, for example, like we could be doing that all the time. I could be working on my business all the time, but actually spending time with the kids, with the boys, going on day trips, exploring our new area and having fun, that is all priority as well. So we can't do it all. So the question is, we have to, what are we prioritizing next? There is another way. And one of my biggest dreams, or my biggest dream right now, which, it depends on the consistent income as well, is spending a month in Costa Rica. I love Costa Rica. I taught English in Costa Rica for 2 months back in 2005. My husband and I honeymooned in Costa Rica. And I'd love us to go with the boys for a month over the summer holidays just have the odd coaching call now and then, and lots of adventures. It just feels so exciting. So that is my biggest dream. That is what I'm working towards. Yeah. So what is my biggest challenge right now? Well, I have so many passion projects on the cards. I've already mentioned the woodlands, and I want to get into growing my own vegetables, getting a polytunnel, just generally like small holding and being more sustainable, not having to rely on other people so much for our food production and our energy and that kind of thing. And there's a time element. There is a time element. Yeah, I feel that time is a man-made concept. Like we used to live by the stars and the sun, and the seasons, and time. We put time on ourselves as a constraint, and again, it comes down to the priorities and intentions. And challenges, there's always finances as a challenge, but again, it comes down to priorities. What is most important? And my work is very much around helping you focus on the important things. So I believe in investing in the things that are going to help us create that momentum and get from A to B in the fastest possible way. Yeah, so time and money. And as I've said as well, we have had to pull the plug on house renovations due to injuries during DIY, and yeah, just that there are so many things I want to do. I want to raise money for polycystic kidney disease because my husband and boys have kidney disease. I'd love to work more on hedgehog conservation, for example. But yeah, these things will come, and hopefully not too late in some cases, but yeah. So there are always going to be challenges, like the challenges constantly shift and change, like the day-to-day challenges. I can deal with them now, like my husband falling through the ceiling. I can deal with them. My husband's oh yeah, there's just been no end to things. Yeah. So my favorite question to ask at the end, the ladies who've been on this podcast, they don't know about this question. This is a surprise bonus question for them at the end. How much would you pay for a fairy godmother to come and help you? Well, right now, I just don't feel like I need one because I feel like I'm in such a good place. I feel like we've just got that harmony, and I really trust that the universe has my back. I really, really do. But approximately 7 or 8 years ago, when I was dreaming of my hospital stay for my justified rest and sleep, I was just so exhausted, and that I probably would have sold my soul for some home help, some relief from childcare, and some quiet time. Yeah, I mean, I think having a fairy godmother, she would have been priceless. And I think probably a fairy godmother shouldn't charge for her services. Yeah, because she can help me and then she can go and help other people. But yeah, priceless, absolutely priceless. You're listening to Confessions of a Working Mum. If my story resonates with you on any level, if you feel stretched too thin and are feeling ungrateful or guilty for wanting more in life because you already have a beautiful life, I see you. I want you to know that you don't feel like this because you're not coping well enough. You're definitely not doing anything wrong, and you're not alone in this. This is a societal and generational issue. There is nothing wrong with wanting things to feel different and for wanting more in life than just feeling depleted. There's a way to create more calm, to feel genuinely supported, to shift things so parenting doesn't only sit on your shoulders, and so your life starts feeling like it belongs to you. If this episode has stirred something in you, take that as your permission slip. If you're ready for that next step, you can download my free Overload Reset or get your free personalized permission oracle reading. Both are a gentle place to start reclaiming your time and energy and giving yourself permission to allow more of whatever you want in life. Or for deeper support, you can explore my 60-minute one-to-one mind massage or Unshakable Mama's 4-month portal to peace, permission and possibility. Everything's there for you whenever you're ready. Whatever you choose, just know you don't have to keep doing this on your own. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. If you found it insightful, please subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and feel free to share with another working mum who needs